from progress on his own path. This rule I've learned from the earth. And Bhaktisiddhanta's translation. So we're going to hear, from the earth, that's the mountains and trees are part of the earth, and they're complementary to what the earth is teaching him. A sober person, even when harassed by other living beings, should understand that his aggressors are acting helplessly under the control of providence. Note that the BBT translators are just following Bhaktisiddhanta. In this way, he should never be distracted from progress on his path. This principle of tolerance I have learned from the earth, which is always steady and tolerant despite being repeatedly kicked by the living entities who dwell on her, the tolerance of earth. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, paraphrased by Bhaktisiddhanta. The Avadhuta had learned the quality of tolerance from the earth. This is being described in this verse. Even though living entities continuously walk over the surface of the earth always remains steady and fixed. The Avadhuta learned this quality from the earth. In the same way, an intelligent person should never give up following his prescribed path, whether he meets with happiness or distress brought about by the arrangement of providence. Purport. The earth is the symbol of tolerance. By deep oil drilling, this is no Hridayananda Maharaj. By deep oil drilling, atomic explosions, pollution, and so on, the earth is constantly harassed by demoniac living entities. Sometimes, lush forests are cut down by greedy men with commercial interests, and thus a wasteland is created. Sometimes the earth's surface is soaked by the blood of soldiers fighting in savage warfare. Yet, despite all these disturbances, the earth continues to provide all necessities of the living beings. In this way, one may learn the art of tolerance by studying the earth. Bhaktisiddhanta's purport. People consider the earth to be an object of their enjoyment rather than an instructing spiritual master. Every person tries to distract others from the path of eternal religion by causing various disturbances. Because of accepting the subordination of the demigods who fulfill our material desires, the living entities become envious of each other. When living entities are overwhelmed with miseries caused by other living entities, there's very little chance for them to exhibit tolerance. Intolerant people invariably exhibit a great propensity toward material enjoyment in this world due to lack of proper training. Nevertheless, the nature of the earth is tolerance. One can become tolerant if he considers the earth as a spiritual master and takes this lesson from her. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes 2 sentences. I have learned tolerance from the earth. An intelligent person understands that all beings are under the control of devatas and pitris. And that's text 37. And we're going to cover 38 and just touch on 39. And that's it for this morning. Text 38. Now this is about the tolerance of the earth. A saintly person should learn from the mountain to devote all his efforts to the service of others and to make the welfare of others the sole reason for his existence. Similarly, as the disciple of the tree, he should learn to dedicate himself to others. This is Lord Chaitanya's teaching, right? Trinadapi, Tororeva Sahishnana. Bhaktisiddhanta's translation: an intelligent person should learn from the mountain how to devote himself to the service of others, making their welfare the sole purpose for his existence. This is also the lesson to be learned from as a disciple of the tree. Summarizing Vishwanath's commentary, Bhaktisiddhanta writes, 2 features of the earth are mentioned here, namely, the mountains and the trees. What does one learn from the mountain? The mountain sustains the earth, produces streams that supply water, and produces various jewels. All these are meant for others' benefit. Paragraph. In the same way, all activities of a saintly person should be performed with the aim of benefiting others. Right? The aim of benefiting others. This should be the nature of the devotees. Similarly, if someone uproots a tree and plants it somewhere else, the tree accepts it without any protest. One learns to do good to others from the tree. Therefore, a yogi should become like a tree. Paragraph. These are the teachings one should learn from the mountain and the tree. And the purport, BBT purport, 2 paragraphs. Great mountains bear unlimited quantities of earth, which in turn give sustenance to innumerable forms of life, such as trees, grass, birds, animals, and so on. Mountains also pour forth unlimited quantities of crystalline water in the form of waterfalls and rivers, and this water gives life to all. By studying the example of mountains, one should learn the art of providing for the happiness of all living entities. Similarly, one may take excellent lessons from the pious trees who offer innumerable benefits such as fruits, flowers, cooling shade, and medicinal extracts. When a tree is suddenly cut down and dragged away, the tree does not protest, but continues to give service to others in the form of firewood. Thus, one should become the disciple of such magnanimous trees and learn from them the qualities of saintly conduct. One could say, easier said than done. And then the other is, well, mountain trees can do it, why humans can't do it? Second paragraph, according to Srila Madhvacharya, the word prararthai kanta sambhava from this verse indicates that one should dedicate all of one's wealth and other assets to the welfare of others. By one's acquired opulence, one should especially try to please the spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, the demigods, as well as all truly respectable, superior personalities, will automatically be pleased. By developing saintly conduct, as described in this verse, one will become tolerant. And this will free one from the useless agitation of the material senses which drive one to wander throughout the world, searching in vain for material happiness. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also emphasized, you know the verse, Toror Iva Sahishnana. One who is as tolerant as a tree can chant the holy name of Krishna constantly, finding ever new satisfaction. And 2 more sections. This is Bhaktisiddhanta's commentary, or purport. The mountain is made of stone, but clay is not so hard. That is why the hard mountain can sustain the soft soil, But soft soil cannot sustain the burden of the mountain. The earth has two kinds of ingredients, the hard mountain and the soft clay. Everyone should learn how to perform welfare activities for others from the mountain. The principal characteristic of a saintly person is that he always desires supreme benefit for others. Otherwise, selfish interest captures the living entities and induces them to become envious of others. The lesson to be learned from the tree which grows on the earth is to tolerate disturbances caused by others. The non-devotee materialistic enjoyer considers all items of this world to be objects for his enjoyment, but a devotee considers all items as his spiritual masters and learns from them different things. This is the nature of a devotee. Worship of Lord Hari is possible only if one becomes as tolerant as a tree, as immovable and steady as a mountain. Otherwise, an intolerant person can never engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. That is why Sri Gaurasundar has instructed everyone to be as tolerant as a tree in order to chant the holy name of Lord Hari. And Vishwanath Chakravarti, one paragraph, commentary on this verse 38. The Avaduta Brahmana speaks of the mountain and the tree, which also represent the earth. The mountain always devotes its efforts for others by holding up the earth, producing waterfalls and giving jewels. The devotee should learn this conduct from the mountain. As the disciple of the tree, he should learn to dedicate himself completely to others. One can take the tree from one place to another, plant it, and water it. The tree accepts this and does not protest. The yogi should be like that. This is the particular nature of the tree, not seen in the mountain. Interesting. Nobody picks up. Well, Govardhan got picked up, moved. So I was thinking to go on. Yeah, it's not too long. Text 39. This is reasonably short. Text 39. A learned sage should take his satisfaction in the simple maintenance of his existence and should not seek satisfaction through gratifying the material senses. In other words, one should care for the material body in such a way that one's higher knowledge is not destroyed, and so that one's speech and mind are not deviated from self-realization. Bhaktisiddhanta's translation: as the air of life, as the life air moves within the body without expecting any support from the sense objects, a learned sage should take satisfaction in the simple maintenance of his existence and should not seek satisfaction through gratifying the material senses. In other words, one should take care of his material body in a way that his cultivation of spiritual knowledge will not be disturbed and his speech and mind are not disturbed from his spiritual discipline. And finally, just 2 paragraphs. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary summarized by Bhaktisiddhanta. Air, so it moved on from earth to air, apparently. So, air is of 2 types: the air that moves within the body and the air that is external of the external world, or wind. What we have to learn from the air, life air, is being described here. The life air performs its duty and is simply satisfied with food and other bare necessities of life. Paragraph. As the senses enjoy various sense objects, such as form, taste, and so on, the life air does not. Similarly, thoughtful sages should remain satisfied even with just food and water, like the air of life. One should eat only as much as required to keep the body and soul together so that the life air will not be disturbed. If one does not eat, his mind will not remain active, and as a result, his knowledge will be destroyed. Therefore, one should maintain his life properly so that his speech and mind are not disturbed. Moreover, by eating abominable, dry, and unclean foods, one's mind and words become disturbed. Also, by eating palatable and rich foods, one becomes lazy and has an increase in the urge for sex and becomes agitated in his speech and mind. This is very different than what we're used to hearing, from my experience anyways, about learning from nature, thinking about the structure of the response to Shukadev Goswami's, Maharaj Parikshit's question, the end of chapter 19 of Canto 1, Maharaj Parikshit asks two questions. The duty of a person about to die and the subject matter to be heard, chanted, and remembered. And where Shukadev Goswami begins is speaking about the universal form. So now here, this is Uddhava asking Krishna, how to fix my mind upon you and be not so attached to the temporary. So knowledge assists detachment. And when that detachment becomes sufficient, then realization of the soul and realization of the Supreme Soul and the relationship with the Supreme Soul, bhakti, is nourished by that knowledge and detachment. So we can get knowledge from the point that's being made is we can get knowledge from things of this world, or understand how to conduct our life towards transcendence by qualities or features of the material world. So like tolerance, that's what we heard, and being satisfied with necessities and not being indulgent in the senses, like the wind, or like, in this case, specifically, the life air. Where we're going to be at the end of this whole discussion is going to be an interesting place. Because it's Krishna speaking, and so we can take it as this is authoritative, but it's knowledge and detachment coming from Krishna to Uddhava, to help Uddhava. That is, to help us become properly situated internally so that our bhakti practice can be steady and not interrupted by the distractions that always happen. Knowledge and detachment to help nourish the bhakti process. So now we're going to go to these nice graphics. Let's take a look. That's Shruti Mangara's way of illustrating Mother Earth being tolerant. Very creative, huh? Okay, so here's the text that she wanted to highlight. The earth is the symbol of tolerance. By deep oil drilling, atomic explosions, pollution, and so on, the earth is constantly harassed by demoniac living entities. Sometimes lush forests are cut down by greedy men with commercial interests, and thus a wasteland is created. Sometimes the earth's surface is soaked by the blood of soldiers fighting in savage warfare. Yet, despite all these disturbances, the earth continues to provide all the necessities of the living beings. In this way, one may learn the art of tolerance by studying the earth. And then we're going to hear about mountains. There's a nice image of mountains. Mountains also pour forth unlimited quantities of crystalline water in the forms of waterfalls and rivers. And this water gives life to all. By studying the example of mountains, one should learn the art of providing for the happiness of all living entities. And then what's next is trees. Some kind of fruit trees. Maybe oranges or peaches or something. Nice painting. Similarly, one may take excellent lessons from the pious trees who offer innumerable benefits such as fruits, flowers, cooling shade, and medicinal extracts. Even when a tree is suddenly cut down and dragged away, the tree does not protest, but continues to give service to others in the form of firewood. So that's text 38. One more from text 38. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also emphasized the tree's quality of tolerance. Taror iva sahishnana kirtaniya sadahari. One who is as tolerant as a tree can chant the holy name of Krishna constantly, finding ever new satisfaction. Visuals are great. So we have those, the earth, mountains, and trees as lesson givers for tolerance. I mean, it's in the Bhagavatam the way that it's in the Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu uses a similar metaphor to teach us about something that's important for the bhakti process, that is, in this case, tolerance. He uses just the trees, and here Krishna is using all three, mountains, earth, and trees. But tolerance, we don't have to become tree-like in all respects, but tolerant like a tree, tolerant like a mountain, steadfast despite circumstances. Remaining undisturbed even when disturbed, the way that's described in Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, dhira, nice word, to remain undisturbed even when there's cause. So that's the mountain-like quality.